Let's have a conversation. Tell me what you think about the issues of the world. What kind of spice you wanna be? Tell me where you wanna travel. Do you believe in luxury? What's your hidden passion? What makes you so unique? Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
Greetings, welcome to Conversations with Nicole. Today we are talking about father hunger and mentoring young black males. My guest, Mr. Willie Williams, a mentoring professional and FAMU public health doctoral candidate, shares his viewpoint. Let's listen in on the conversation. Fathers not being available physically and emotionally. What's your take on that?
Well, it's so many different ways you can come at that question. I think we're in a time in today's society to where that's become normalized, you know, for youth, especially minority youth, to be identified as without a father in the home. It's become, in a sense, acceptable. You're more likely to walk into a classroom full of kids and say, well, half of these kids have a father, or don't have a father, rather, than to walk into a classroom and see a father figure in there. That would probably surprise people more than anything. So I think, for the most part, that we do, it is something that's grand that we need to start addressing and paying more attention to, because the effects of it is so detrimental to our young men and young ladies.
The need for that male energy, both by not only boys but girls, is really, you know, strong, and in particularly with boys, because, you know, boys need to be brought up or nurtured by men to know how to become men.
Right.
You know, I think that sometimes that's not valued enough, and not to knock single moms, because I was a single mom myself, but a woman really can't teach a boy how to be a man.
Right.
So it's really, you know, important to have, if not the father, a male figure in the boy's life to help him to understand, you know, what manhood is all about.
Right. And usually when you think about complexities as far as growing up, you know, when you think females, you think, oh yeah, there's so many things they have to go through, but there's so many different dynamics a male has to go through as well. But what we do is, a lot of times we'll find ourselves hiding those things, especially anything emotional, so that we don't put out that there is a cry for help, or there's a need for help. And that comes along with being raised in a single parent household, is that, okay, now I have to be the man. So now you've went from 5 to, let me be 25 real quick, let me fast forward and try to fill in the gap.
Right.
Which is a lot of times not possible. Either the son's trying to fill in the gap, or the mother's trying to fill in the gap. But there's a gap there that people are trying to fill.
Yeah, good point. So you have some research that you are getting ready to embark on. You are a doctoral candidate at Florida A&M University with public health, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So tell us about your research.
Well, what my research does is it looks at mentoring and the direct and indirect impact it may have on African American male youth, teenagers, specifically 12 to 18 years old. And I particularly chose that age group because it was something dear to me. Mentoring, I am a product of mentoring. You know, coming up, I had the same issues a lot of young men had today. I had emotional anger and feelings that I didn't know what to do with it. And a father figure was in the home, but because he was military bound, he was constantly gone. I saw him at 4:30 shining boots, and I didn't see him again till 6:30 at night, and that's when he was in country or stateside, so to say. So he was missing emotionally for me. So yeah, I was involved in a lot of issues, a lot of challenges. Me and my brother both, you know, break-ins, getting in fights in school, just trouble, just a lot of trouble. So that age range 12 to 18 was particularly challenging for me until somebody came forth and said, look, young brother, you're doing it wrong. There's an A way to do it, there's a B way to do it, and you need to choose A. But not only did he tell me which way to choose, he actually guided me to that direction. And he continued to do that until I was pretty much grew wings of my own and figured out how to fly, and now I'm 8 months from a doctoral degree.
Wonderful. That's some story right there. So, you're about to do this research. What do you think your hypothesis, or what is your hypothesis? What do you think you're going to find as a result of your research? Do you have any thoughts about it in advance?
Well, I definitely have some thoughts toward it, and definitely not to create any kind of bias. So looking beyond hypothesis and beyond theory, I'm looking more toward my experiences that I've had working with young men, both on a mentoring level and on a therapist level. I believe these mentoring programs are making a difference.
Okay.
You need someone there to guide these young men through the different dynamics of their lives. They need someone there, and the trick is someone who's there consistently. They're used to people being there temporarily, and that causes a lot more damage than you can imagine someone coming in temporarily. And then just dropping off. So
I'm sure that develops some trust issues.
oh yes, definitely that. So when we look at mentoring programs, we look at who's there consistently that they can fall back on as a support system and as a sense of direction.
Excellent. So, this mentoring piece is pretty huge, so much so that President Obama launched My Brother's Keeper
Yes.
back in, I believe it was February of 2014 or so, and that's kind of taken on a national charge. I think there's some 250 communities in the country that are little mini My Brother's Keepers subsidiaries, if you will. So, this is really a big, big deal. I know that you also shared some research that you've done on the high level of population levels within juvenile justice and corrections in the state of Florida. You want to speak a little bit about that?
Well, and definitely thanking President Barack Obama for initiating such a great initiative as far as My Brother's Keeper and taking that first step that we needed to get this nation's eyes on what the problem is with our young black males and the challenges that they're facing. So yeah, when we look at it, we see how statistically they're on the higher end of juvenile delinquency. They're on the higher end of incarceration, the higher end of dying younger and faster than any other racial, ethnicity, or group above.
Right.
But then when you look at academics and health-wise, we're on the lower end. So there's definitely an issue there. There's a problem. America, there's a problem there. And people always think, well, young black men are becoming endangered species, so to say, and I don't believe that's the case.
Okay.
I don't believe that's the case, because when you think of endangered species, when something's entitled endangered, that category becomes protected. They developed a law in 1973, the Endangered Species Act, that protects them now. They take that, and if there's any threat to this endangered animal or plant, you can get charges. You can serve time. Black men are not protected like that.
Yeah, we witnessed that in our society, especially in more recent times, from Trayvon Martin to Eric Garner to Jordan Davis. Yeah, just the list kind of goes on and on.
Right, and see, just like you're saying, it's time after time the same issue. So more than being an endangered species, we're becoming an extinct species.
Right.
That's probably,
possibly these mentoring programs can help turn that around.
Yes.
So just real quick, what are some of the indicators that you're going to be looking at in your research?
Well, I plan on taking a mixed study approach. So I'm planning on doing qualitative and quantitative design research. And with qualitative, I plan on interviewing the young men, interviewing their parents, staff members, school officials, just to get their perspectives on some of the negative, positive influences that might be impacting these young men on a regular basis, and how much progression they're making toward the positive direction. And then as far as qualitative, I plan on pulling secondary data from the school district to see, well, what is the attendance like? What is the behavior like? What is the referrals like as far as young men that are not getting mentoring versus the men that are getting mentoring? So by taking a mixed method approach, hopefully I can eliminate any kind of weaknesses using one versus the other may have.
You have an event coming up, right? You're raising funds for your research.
Yes.
So tell us about the event.
So the event coming up is empowering the community fundraiser, and what I'm doing is I'm raising funds to support the research that I'm doing, and there's different things tied with the research. I want to be able to provide incentives to the young men that participate in the interviews, their parents, school officials, so that we're consistent with it. I also want to be able to have the interviews professionally transcribed, because I want a top tier, a top level research product.
Okay.
You know, not only do these young men deserve it, these mentoring programs deserve it, the community deserves for someone to take the time out to do a grade A research product on them and show the impact that they're making with our young men. And that way, if and when it's challenged, it'll be something top notch, and you got to come hard if you're going to challenge it.
Yeah. So, when is the event? Where? Give
So
us
the
details.
event will be February 28th, which is a Tuesday night, 6:30 to 8:30 at Sitting Hall, which is right next to Harry Seafood Restaurant.
Right, in Clayman Plaza.
In Clayman Plaza, and we have live music lined up. La Clotia, who's going to perform for us live. We have a DJ. We'll have some food there. Have some great sponsors from the community who's donated food to the event. So we're looking at having a great event as well as for a great cause, fundraising.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, anything you want to say to us in closing?
No, I just thank you for the opportunity and to pretty much share what's going on in the Tallahassee community and the things that many people have already been doing as far as working with our youth. And I look forward to seeing some more great things coming from this show. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Willie. Stay tuned for more conversations. Welcome back to Conversations with Nicole. Right now I have with me Mr. Royal King, the founder of the Omega Lamplighters. Welcome, Royal.
Thank you.
So, Royal, tell me, what are the Omega Lamplighters and what do they do?
Well, to be as brief as possible, the Omega Lamplighters is a young men's mentoring program based upon 4 principles: leadership, academics, maturity, and perseverance. The ultimate goal of the program, and we do various activities with them, but the ultimate goal is, 1, to provide resources that the average, minority male may not have, but then 2, graduate high school and to eventually get them to go on to college and create successful careers for them and their later families.
Excellent. So what prompted you to start the Lamplighters?
Long and short story, I participated in my high school years in a mentoring program, and the biggest thing that I got from it, and my father was in the home and he was involved with the program, was the brotherhood, and then also the relationship with men aside from my dad. I thought that was very important, and I just really engulfed and just fell into it, and I always told myself whenever I got the opportunity, I was going to sow that same seed into other young men. So when I got into college, I kind of started the process, and we are here today.
Okay, and you are a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Yes.
And what's the relationship between the Lamplighters and the fraternity?
So the main relationship is that when I created the program, I was in the fraternity, and at the time it was an Omega mentoring program when I was coming up. So the connection simply was that I came up in an Omega mentoring program, got to college, and when I decided to pursue a fraternity, that was what I chose, and kind of built the program around within the fraternity a little bit so that I could kind of give them some of those same experiences that I enjoyed when I was in the program.
Okay. So how do young men come to get involved with the Lamplighters?
What we do typically is we have an interest meeting, and what we do is we put the information out to the different schools, and at that point it was a point to where we were kind of putting it out and kind of recruiting kids, but with I guess the growth of it now, it's a good and a bad problem, but now we're at the point to where this past year we had about 60 kids show up with an interest, but we just don't have the resources. We have about 60 kids already, and we don't have the resources to accommodate 120 kids. So it's a good problem to have, but just getting the information out, and now they're coming to us. We get emails all the time on our website. I want to get my son involved. What do I need to do? So those are good problems to have with the growth, but it's just also a negative because you
Right.
don't want to tell anyone no.
Right. And these are young men between what ages?
12 and 18.
12 and 18. Okay. So, do the brothers of the fraternity act as mentors for these young men?
Yeah, so what we do primarily, we utilize the undergraduates a lot, mainly because they're the closest to that age. And
right.
I don't think I'm that old, but to them, they like
Probably.
calling me grandpa and dinosaur, and I get a little offended, but I'm like, I'm not that old. But to be around the, some of the undergraduate members who are in their late teens and early 20s, they look more to them.
Right.
So it's good to have them on board, in addition with, some of us older members as well, because they kind of get both sides. Certain things, they won't come to me because, oh, he's like my dad. He's like a dad figure, but he's like my older brother.
Right.
And then it all comes back to us, and we can kind of internally in the village help them become whatever they want to be or keep them from negative influences.
Interesting. That's excellent. So, are there any expectations that are set on the young men in advance? Do they know kind of either at the interest meeting or once they say, yes, this is something that I want to do, you're expected to do these things?
Yeah, they have quite a bit of expectations. One of them primarily being academically. We've had our GPA requirement is a 2.7. However, we admit young men with below that. Excuse me. But in order to participate, they have to do a few more things. So where the average kid may, write an essay, do an interview, and letters of recommendation, they may have a few more things they need to do just to kind of gauge that they want it. Primarily because a lot of times, if they don't want it, there's nothing we can do. If the parent's not going to commit to making sure they're there, and they don't have at least a little desire, getting in the program is not going to help them because they're going to still be the same way. But if they can write an additional essay or get a teacher to, say something on their behalf, if they show that little effort, then we can see that little spark and we can take them to another level. So primarily academics is first. We make them sign a handbook where them and their parents agree. I'm going to,
So like a code of conduct?
Yeah, I'm going to commit to making sure he's there. I understand that it's my responsibility to let you know if I can't make an event because we're trying to create young leaders at the same time. Right. So that's another one.
I'm
being
glad
timely.
You mentioned parents because I was going to ask like what the parental involvement is. How important is that to the success of the program and to the young men? You mentioned parents because I was going to ask like what the parental involvement is. How important is that to the success of the program and to the young men?
It's extremely important. We've kind of taken on the African proverb that it takes a village. And when the young men see the parents are involved, they kind of get, it becomes a family. And that's one thing that we kind of really preach, the involvement of everyone. So granted, when we have our workshops, we don't necessarily have the parents there because that's a bonding opportunity for the young men with their peers and the advisors and that such. But when we're having functions, like we did a Black History photo shoot with the parents and they all had dashikis and it was an awesome experience for all of us to come together and share that moment. So some of the young men whose parents may not come as much, for them that moment, they got to take family pictures some of them which who never have taken them, and then they got to do it with us. So it kind of let them see that this was bigger than just...
This is the village, too.
Right. Yeah. So parent involvement is super important because we can't do everything, and the parents, they're invested because their kids are in the program. So it's tremendous.
Excellent, excellent. So tell me about any challenges that you may be facing with the program.
I mean, well, there's several challenges. We find a way to make everything work out. One of them, funding. In the dream world, if we were funded on the level that I thought we should, not that I could quit my job and full-time pop up at schools, not have to adjust my schedule.
So those are some of the things you'd like to do.
Yeah, I would. I'd love to be able to really, and I do those things, but to really like, oh no, King, he was here yesterday. He gonna probably be here Thursday. But when you don't have the fully funding resources to do those things, you can't really, do everything that you want to do with them. Sometimes. Just different personalities in different situations.
Yeah, it's always that with group dynamics.
A lot of times people think they assume you get paid even though they know you don't, and they don't understand you're doing this for free and that you're committed to this because you love it, but they kind of treat it like it's an expectation. Not that you would quit or anything because you love it, but just like attitudes from just different people. And
so let me ask you, is there a financial cost to the youth or their family to be a part of the organization?
It is, and it's a minimal fee. I mean, it's super low.
And what's minimal?
$75.
Okay, annually?
No. Just when they get inducted, and then yearly is $25, and all that does is pay for the materials we provide them.
Gotcha.
They get a blazer, shirt, and tie.
Yeah, I've seen some video. They dress pretty sharp.
Yeah,
those lamp lighters.
Yeah. So that just kind of gets us in the beginning to get them the basic things, and then beyond there we fundraise, and the little funding we do get, we shake it up and spread it around.
Gotcha. So tell me about a lamplighter success.
Well, I can kind of speak to one currently. We've got a young man by the name of Sean Holloway, who's a senior now. He got in the beginning of his freshman year, had just moved here from South Florida. Growing up, he had some issues with, or he didn't speak till he was like 3. Was assaulted by his stepfather, and just had a lot of social issues. Learning in middle school, he had quite a few issues, and he got into the program, and he's just kind of taken off. Became the freshman class president at Rickard, sophomore class president. His junior year, he became, I can't remember, but something in SGA. Through the program, he had an opportunity to speak on to the legislators. He's been on numerous interviews. I mean, he's just blossomed. 3.9 GPA.
Wow.
I mean, you couldn't ask for a better young man. And a lot of it I don't do, but he credits, and his mother credits to the program and giving him an opportunity to show himself and to become a great public speaker and representative for youth. Received a award from the mayor last year. I mean, just decorated. Just decorated student.
Well, how can the community help you all?
One of the things is supporting our events. We have fundraiser coming up at the end of March. Our annual banquet is May 6th, which is our largest fundraiser. This will be our 6th year having it. We've got an exciting speaker. Last year we had Titus O'Neil, who's a WWE superstar, come in town. But that's a huge opportunity where they can support us. And just when they see the young men, just kind of be a part of that village, letting them know, hey, how you doing, son? What is that program about? And letting them know, hey, I'm watching you because you represent more than just yourself. So, when you see the young men in the community, kind of, making sure you hold them to the standards that we do.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. King. Please keep up the good work.
I'll try.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Nicole, where we connect the community through conversations. For more information on this or previous shows, visit Conversations with Nicole on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I am Nicole Everett, and we'll see you next time.